Hi guys, this is Kathy again with Single Mom Advice. And today what I want to go over with you is what to do when your lender or your loan servicing company transfers your account to another loan servicing company. Okay, the reason you'll see why it's important, this just happened to me recently, so I'll be going over like some of the things that happened to me and what you can do about it when they come up. Okay, but first, I wanted to go over some terms that I'm going to use you may or may not be familiar with. I'll try to keep this part brief. One is, first of all, what's the difference between the lender and the loan servicing company? Well, when you get a home loan and you close and you get the keys, you're basically through with that lender for that piece. You've obtained the loan, you've secured a loan for your home, right? But then beyond that, who do you send payments to? Who keeps track of your taxes and insurance and your things like that? Okay, so your lender, more often than not, will transfer your loan servicing process to a loan servicing company. Now, what can happen is they can then turn around and give it to someone else. And so I'm actually on my second loan servicing company within a year of closing. Okay, so you just want to keep some of these things in mind that I'm going over today, and hopefully they'll help you. But so that's the difference between the lender and the loan servicing company. Another item I wanted to mention was escrow. You heard this term when you were closing on your home because you put money down. It went to a title company or an attorney who put it in an escrow account. That's actually what the type of account is called. And it's just where monies are being managed for two parties by a third party. Okay, so once you closed on your house, though, that title company or that law firm dispersed all of those funds. So this would be new escrow being set up for you. If you did not put 20% down, at least 20% down when you bought your home, that lender is going to want your at least your taxes and escrow, insurance escrow, okay, and paid on your behalf by this third party. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So so that's servicing the loan, that's escrow, and trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the mortgagee clause. It's the mortgagee clause is you are the mortgagor, the mortgagee is the lender. The loan servicing company, though, is the one that the insurance company is going to need to know who to pay to on your insurance policy if something should happen. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But that mortgagee clause is the legal information that has to be provided and worded specifically on your homeowner's insurance policy. So instead of the insurance company sending out a whole policy again, they'll send out maybe just the deck page with that mortgagee clause updated, such that if something happens to you or to your home, the right party gets paid for with the insurance policy. Okay, let me see what else. Okay, so that's basically the terms that we need to cover before we get started. So the first thing that'll happen is you'll get notification, whether you get an email notification. I've received these in writing in the mail to me from companies whenever this has happened. So the first step is you get notified, right, that this is going to occur. The letter that you will get will include, it will be from your current loan servicing company or lender, and it will provide to you who it's going to. It will give you your new loan number or identifier with that company. It will include maybe a couple of different addresses for them, where they're headquartered out of, and then separately where to send payments to, things like that. So, and the effective date. It'll give you the effective date also on that letter. But the first thing you're going to want to do is contact that new company. And I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me as we go through these steps. So I got my letter in the mail and I called the new company, and they said, I gave them my information and I gave them the new loan number that was provided to me that they were to have on their records, and they did not have me on file. So I said, when should I call? And they said, call back in a couple of days. And I did that, and they were able to find me by my loan number at that time. And I went ahead to verify what information did they have, because they did not have my phone number. So not sure how I would have been contacted. They may or may not ask for your email address. They are going to also want to verify your mailing address, though, in case it's different than your property address, which they would obviously have because that's your collateral, right? So online access. this is something that I'm always surprised that people don't do. If you have the ability to set up access for yourself to go into your account with a company that you do business with, and that would give you access to what they show for your information, I recommend it. Like, don't hesitate. It's really simple. 9 times out of 10, you go to their site, you ask to set up the new access, new account. You choose a username, which can be an email. You choose a password that works for their format, and you can get in and see what they have and what they don't have for you. And this is so helpful because it also usually allows you a chance to edit your information so that you get your mail and things like that. Okay. So I recommend that you get your online account set up. By doing this step, I was able to see that they had the same balance for me, right? That they showed the same amount in my escrow account as the prior company did, that all those monies transferred over. One thing I just want to point out, when your account gets transferred to another company, what they cannot change is any of the terms of the loan. Okay, so if you signed up and you got 4% interest over 30 years fixed, what have you, whatever that is, whatever your terms were of your loan, they can't change that, and they're not going to change that. Okay, if your total payment per month changes, it would be because maybe your taxes changed, the amount you were being charged or collected for your taxes, or your homeowner's insurance changed. Okay, and you'll be able to see all that if you go in and look at your account. Okay, so there are other things that are collected in escrow besides just taxes and insurance, but these are the two most common, and that's what I'm going to go over today. Okay, so the homeowner's insurance was really an important one because they didn't show I had homeowner's insurance or that they were collecting for it or anything. They had no information on it at all. So I asked to speak to their insurance department. They had a separate department for that. And when I discovered that they didn't have the information, I set about making sure that they did have the information that was the correct information, and also tried to save my insurance agent a couple of steps. So what I did was I asked them for their mortgagee clause. And as I mentioned before, it allows them to be the first payee if there's damage to the home, or if the home gets completely demolished, and that makes the insurance payable to them regardless of whether or not it is later determined that you intentionally or unintentionally set fire to your home, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so again, they've paid for your home and you're paying them back, right, a little bit at a time with interest. But up front, should something happen, the insurance goes directly to them. Okay, so that mortgagee clause is going to be specific to them, and you'll want to go ahead and ask their insurance department for that mortgagee clause and write it down. You won't remember it all. And then I was very surprised to find out that some people still use a fax machine. Who knew? But this insurance department had a fax that they were going to require my insurance agent to submit the information to them, okay, using that fax machine. So I got the information of how to communicate with the insurance department because they're going to want it all in writing, right? I took the new mortgagee clause, I took a copy of the letter and the fax number, and sent it all on an email to my insurance agent, and I copied the insurance carrier. As you know, those are two different groups, and explained to her just what I had done so far, what they needed, and gave her the information so that she could do her part. So what we're asking her to do is take your policy, update the mortgagee clause, get it over to the new company, and update their records to show who that new company is. Okay. Now, what I asked her for was, again, I mentioned this before, is a new deck page. So it's a declarations page. It's several pages long. It's not just one page. And that's all they're going to require. They wouldn't require a copy of the whole policy. Let's see. And the other thing you want, when your agent is through putting that together, you want her to send a copy of that to you for your records, so you have it as well. And what works out really well is if you get it on soft copy, in the form of like a PDF or something like that, so that you can save it if you need to email it or print it and fax it. You can. Sorry, it still makes me laugh. And so that you can have a copy of when it was updated, okay? And you can kind of cover yourself. What will not happen is if this new company doesn't show that you have insurance, okay, they're going to they're not going to send anything out, right? So they will be sitting on your money that they've been collecting all this time, because as we know, homeowners insurance is paid in advance. And so your money's been collected. It's sitting in your escrow account with them. Your insurance company is not going to get paid, and they're going to call you. And they're going to say, hey, you owe us for your homeowners. And you say, wait. I gave my money to them. They have it already. I need to get you guys in communication and talking to each other to make sure that money gets moved over to you. What do I need to do? So if you do this first, you're all squared away, okay? The timing of this is really important because homeowners insurance is collected annually, paid annually, based on when you purchased that originally, that policy. So when did you close on your home? You say, okay, well, I remember it was somewhere in July, beginning of August. A year later, it's going to be due again, right? So that's what you want to keep in mind. This changeover, this recent transfer for me is occurring right before my homeowners is due. So this is why this is so important, okay? All these steps would have to happen anyway. The other thing that happened after the insurance agent received it, updated it, sent it to the fax number I gave her, to the attention of the person's name that I gave her, she had a confirmation that it had been received on the other end. The problem is the next day when I called to verify that the right person got it, they didn't show they had received it at all. Of course, we show it went through. But there's no point in arguing that. You send it again, right? So I notified the insurance agent. She sent it again with whatever else she sent. And I waited a day. I called again, and they had received it. Okay, I verified that they got it. And then I began to see, on the subsequent days, I began to see on my online account that those items were updated. And you could see them adding the information to the system. So that was really good. So this is homeowners insurance. Separately, your property taxes are another item. And as I mentioned before, in the escrow account, there are designated funds, right? So your insurance is due annually. Your property taxes are also due annually, but they're due at a different time. And I mentioned this on another video in detail with lots of other information, but where homeowners insurance is paid in advance of coverage, the property taxes are paid in arrears. They're due in arrears. So they're calendar year. So January through December, let's say, of 2018, the taxes for that calendar year, you can begin paying as soon as November. Okay? You say, well, why would you pay them before the year is out? They're ready. The trim notices go out at the end of August, September, October. The tax bills go out in October. You're given a 4%. This is just Florida, 4% discount for paying early. If you pay in November, it's 3% in December, 2% in January, 1% in February. It's due in March, and then it's late in April. Okay. So what's great about having these escrowed is that these companies, even though they're not in the state of Florida, should know to pay that in November to get you that discount. So that's another reason why you want to call, right? So it wouldn't be the same department. Obviously, they have their own insurance department. But in calling the main number, I was able to ask, who's managing the payment of my property taxes. And they transferred me to a really nice fella who was able to tell me the taxing authority. Now, in Florida, it's your county, the county that your property is in. So he was able to tell me the county that they were going to pay the taxes to. He was able to tell me when they were going to pay it, and it was November, which was great. And then he was able to tell me the amount that they plan to pay. This is July, so they're not going to know the exact amount until they get that statement, but there's the amount that they've been collecting for, right, which would have been the prior year's taxes. So these are some of the steps you can take. There are other things, like I said, that you want to be in front of. This is going to save a lapse in coverage, maybe. This would save, which you don't want. And this would save on interest. You can gain on the discount that's provided for early payment, and then you'll know what's happening with your home and your mortgage. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you don't have to go through what I went through. It would be so nice, wouldn't it, if you could just assume that the lender took all their information and they gave it to the new loan servicing company, and they had everything they needed, and you didn't have to talk to anyone or look at any of these things, or worry about any of these things. The same is true from one company to another, where it's a loan servicing company. It would be really nice if that went smoothly, but as you can see, sometimes it doesn't. There was a gentleman that I helped on a closing year before last, where he closed on his home at the end of October. So there was a discrepancy between where the monies were sitting and where they should have been, because the previous company should have and had planned to pay his property taxes to get the discount. But there was a delay because it wasn't November yet. And by then he was on the new company's records. So months later, he was checking on the tax collector's website and noticed that his taxes did not show paid. And that's when he called the lender. And I was working for a different company then, and we tracked down where the money was sitting, who it needed to go to, and got it paid, and let everyone involved know what the status was on that, because that, it was just a mistake. So these things happen, is all I'm saying. And if you get in front of it, it's all the better for you. So again, I hope this has been helpful. And thanks so much. I'll see you next time.